Imagine waking up tomorrow morning. You stretch, grab your phone and glance out the window, only to see a shadow pass over your street. Not from a plane, not from a cloud, but from something alive. Something massive. A dinosaur. Yes, a real dinosaur. Not the one on your Jurassic Park t-shirt. Not the plastic toy in your childhood bedroom. A living, breathing, bone-shaking dinosaur, right there, on the same pavement where you usually walk to grab coffee. Your neighbor drops his cup of iced latte as a T-Rex stomps past his parked car. Alarms blare. Dogs bark hysterically. Someone screams, "Don't move!" while another person is already recording for TikTok. And in that moment, the entire world changes. So here's the question we're asking today. What if dinosaurs returned and roamed our streets right now? To answer that, let's rewind history a bit. Dinosaurs ruled Earth for over 165 million years. That's longer than humans have existed by a huge margin. They were wiped out around 66 million years ago, thanks to a catastrophic asteroid impact that turned Earth into a global disaster zone. But let's pretend, through cloning, time travel, or some crazy science experiment gone wrong, that they're back. Not in a zoo, not locked away in a lab, but free, in the middle of your city, in front of your school, your office, your house. What would happen next? First, it wouldn't just be one dinosaur. Ecosystems don't work that way. If dinosaurs returned, it would mean a whole variety of them. The towering Brachiosaurus munching on trees in city parks, the armored Ankylosaurus blocking highways, flocks of smaller feathered raptors sneaking through alleyways, and yes, giant pterosaurs circling above skyscrapers. It would be a mashup of modern life and prehistoric chaos. Imagine traffic jams not because of rush hour, but because a herd of triceratops decided the freeway was a nice place to nap. Imagine delivery drones competing with flying reptiles for airspace. Imagine grocery stores selling dino-proof fences like they once sold COVID masks. The very fabric of human life, cities, roads, jobs, routines, would be flipped upside down. And we haven't even talked about survival yet, so buckle up. Because if dinosaurs came back, our world wouldn't just change. It might not belong to us anymore. The first 24 hours after dinosaurs appear would be total mayhem. Forget the usual morning traffic. Streets would be clogged with abandoned cars, people running for cover, and confused animals barking or bolting in every direction. Cities are designed for human life, not 40-ton reptiles stomping across sidewalks. Imagine a Brachiosaurus stretching its long neck to nibble leaves off the top of a city tree. That sounds peaceful, right? Until you realize its massive feet are cracking water pipes under the street, causing geysers to burst out of the pavement. Meanwhile, the poor delivery driver trying to bring your pizza has to figure out how to steer around an animal the size of a 6-story building. Now think about smaller dinosaurs, like the compies, tiny chicken-sized hunters that travel in packs. They'd be everywhere, in your backyard, in subway tunnels, inside grocery stores, chasing anyone holding a bag of meat. Cities would have to shut down entire neighborhoods just to deal with swarms of these little troublemakers. And then, of course, we'd have the real nightmare: predators. A single T-Rex stepping onto Times Square would cause mass evacuation. People would scatter like ants while news helicopters circled overhead. One roar, and every glass window in a 5-block radius would shudder. Imagine the sound of a freight train, but alive. And angry, infrastructure would collapse quickly. Bridges aren't built to handle the weight of giant sauropods crossing in herds. Highways would crack under the constant pounding of claws and tails. Apartment buildings might even lose walls if a triceratops decided to ram through a lobby out of confusion or fear. And let's not forget utilities. Power lines would be ripped apart by pterosaurs perching on them. Water supplies would be contaminated by massive creatures stomping through reservoirs. The internet? Probably still working, but good luck binge-watching Netflix when the Wi-Fi tower has been flattened by a Spinosaurus. Cities thrive on order, but dinosaurs thrive on instinct. And in the battle between human-made order and raw prehistoric power, our carefully planned streets wouldn't stand a chance. Within days, governments would have to declare states of emergency, evacuations, curfews, maybe even martial law. People wouldn't just be avoiding traffic jams anymore. They'd be avoiding becoming part of the food chain. If peaceful giants like Brachiosaurus cause chaos just by walking, then predators would turn cities into survival zones. Let's start small, or at least medium-sized, with the velociraptors. In movies, they look like oversized lizards, but in reality, they were about the size of a turkey, covered in feathers, and terrifyingly smart. Picture them slipping into subways or darting between cars in a parking garage. They'd hunt in packs, communicate with chirps and hisses, and corner people the same way wolves hunt deer. Suddenly, walking your dog at night could feel like starring in your own horror movie. Then there's the big one, the star of every dinosaur nightmare, Tyrannosaurus Rex. Standing 20 feet tall, weighing about 9 tons, and with teeth the size of bananas, a T-Rex would rule any city it entered. One bite could crush a car in half. Forget running, it could sprint at 20 miles per hour. That's as fast as an Olympic sprinter, except this sprinter is a giant meat-eating tank. Think about this. A T-Rex at the edge of Central Park. People screaming, horns blaring, helicopters circling overhead. The dinosaur lets out a roar that rattles glass towers and makes your stomach drop. That sound alone could cause mass panic. Imagine it chasing taxis down Fifth Avenue, biting into a bus like it's a juice box. And here's the scary part. Humans might not even be the first target. Raptors could raid grocery stores, knocking over shelves of meat. T-Rexes could go after cattle farms on the edges of cities, tearing through fences like paper. Once food supplies run low, though, guess who's next on the menu? What about other predators? The Spinosaurus, larger than T-Rex, would dominate rivers and coastlines, capsizing boats with its jaws. Allosaurus packs could stalk suburbs the same way coyotes do today. Even smaller carnivores, like Dilophosaurus, famous for that frill in Jurassic Park, which was fictional, by the way, would create havoc, darting in and out of alleys to grab stray pets or even unlucky humans. It wouldn't take long for survival instincts to kick in. People would board up windows, stockpile food, and avoid leaving their homes at night. Entire neighborhoods could turn into mini-fortresses guarded by floodlights and barricades. Police sirens would be constant, but against a T-Rex, sirens won't save you. Predators wouldn't just be a danger. They'd completely change human behavior. Suddenly, every trip outside would carry a risk. Grocery shopping, going to school, even walking to work. These simple routines would feel like dangerous expeditions. We'd no longer be the top predators of Earth. In fact, we'd be prey. Not every dinosaur would be a skyscraper-sized nightmare. Some of them were actually kind of adorable. If dinosaurs came back, it wouldn't just be the giants that caught our attention. We'd also get the little guys, the chicken-sized, dog-sized, even parrot-sized dinosaurs. And they'd cause just as much chaos, but in very different ways. Take the Compsognathus, a tiny predator no bigger than a house cat. Imagine dozens of these darting across your lawn like squirrels. At first you might even laugh. They're small, quick, and not particularly dangerous by themselves. But the problem is, they hunt in groups. Your picnic sandwich? Gone. Your cat? Chased up a tree. Your garbage? Shredded. Basically, you'd wake up to find your neighborhood turned into a prehistoric petting zoo, minus the petting. Then there are the microraptors, feathered dinosaurs with wings. They could glide from tree to tree or even from rooftops. Imagine looking out your apartment window and seeing one of these four-winged creatures staring back at you. Bird feeders? Forget it. They'd swoop in, chase away the pigeons, and snack on anything that moved. And here's a fun thought. Some of these little dinosaurs might actually become pets. Humans have a history of taming animals, dogs, cats, even falcons. If someone figured out how to train a small dinosaur, You can bet people would line up to buy one. Pet stores might start selling baby dino feed. Instagram would explode with selfies of influencers holding their cute little compy in a designer harness. Dino pet would trend worldwide. But pets come with problems. A small dinosaur might be cute as a baby, but what happens when it grows bigger, stronger, and hungrier? That adorable hatchling you bought at the farmer's market could suddenly leap onto your kitchen table and devour your dinner, and maybe your goldfish too. And then there's the issue of competition. Birds, after all, are living dinosaurs. Would pigeons, chickens, and parrots get along with their long-lost cousins? Probably not. Your local park could turn into a battleground. Sparrows versus Compsognathus, crows versus micro-raptors. Imagine the noise, the funniest part. People would still try to normalize it. Just like we learned to live with raccoons digging through trash and squirrels stealing birdseed, humans might eventually say, "Hey, it's just a couple of raptors on the roof." No big deal. Tiny dinosaurs might not flatten cities like a T-Rex, but they'd crawl into every corner of human life, our homes, our backyards, even our hearts. Some would terrorize us, some would fascinate us, and some might actually end up sleeping at the foot of our beds. Humans aren't exactly the strongest animals on Earth. We don't have claws, fangs, or armor plates, but what we do have is brains, teamwork, and technology. So if dinosaurs stormed our streets, you can bet we wouldn't just roll over and become dinner. We'd fight back, adapt, and maybe even try to coexist. First, governments would scramble to contain the chaos. Expect tanks rolling through city centers, helicopters circling the skies, and scientists racing to design tranquilizers strong enough to knock out a creature the size of a building. National Guard units would set up safe zones with reinforced fences and guard towers. Cities might create dino-free districts where humans could live without fear, basically modern-day fortresses. Second, we'd weaponize our everyday tools. Farmers already use drones to monitor crops. Now imagine those same drones armed with nets, tranquilizer darts, or sonic blasters designed to scare off predators. Neighborhood watch groups could turn into neighborhood defense units, setting up barricades at night to keep out prowling raptors. Think less suburban block party and more zombie apocalypse survival club. But humans aren't just about fighting. We're also problem solvers. Instead of trying to wipe dinosaurs out, some scientists might push for coexistence programs. Just like wildlife reserves protect elephants and lions today, massive fenced-off zones could be created to house herds of sauropods or packs of raptors. Tourists would pay thousands to take dino safaris in armored jeeps, snapping photos from a safe distance. And then there's the biotech angle. If dinosaurs truly returned, labs around the world would race to study their DNA. Could we engineer smaller, less aggressive versions? Could we make a pet T-Rex that's no bigger than a golden retriever? It sounds crazy, but remember, humans once turned wild wolves into friendly poodles. Given enough time, someone might figure out how to breed dinosaurs that are more manageable. Still, resistance wouldn't come cheap. Entire industries would collapse, construction, farming, travel, while new ones would rise. Think dino defense technology, prehistoric pest control, and yes, probably reality shows like Dino versus Man. Insurance companies would rewrite policies overnight. Fire, theft and velociraptor damage not covered. At the same time, culture would shift. Kids would learn dinosaur safety drills at school the way they practice fire drills today. Street signs might say, "Caution, raptors crossing." Dating apps could even add filters like, "Willing to fight a triceratops for you." In short, humans wouldn't give up. We'd fight, we'd adapt, and we'd try to control the uncontrollable. But the real question is, would it work? Or would dinosaurs always have the upper hand, no matter how many walls we build? So far, we've pictured the chaos, the predators, the cute little dinos, and even how humans might fight back. But here's the big question. If dinosaurs really returned, who would win the planet? On one hand, humans have weapons, technology, and cities. On the other, dinosaurs have raw power, size, and instincts honed by millions of years of evolution. In a direct showdown, we could defend ourselves for a while. We could cage some, tranquilize others, maybe even push them into isolated zones. But if they reproduced as fast as they once did and spread across continents, we'd be fighting a losing battle. Imagine farmland across the Midwest flattened by herds of sauropods. Imagine coastal cities like Miami or Lagos under siege from Spinosauruses and Mosasaurs. Imagine power plants knocked out, food chains collapsing, and supply trucks stranded because a Triceratops herd won't move off the highway. Within months, human civilization could shrink dramatically. Cities abandoned, people huddled in fortified zones. The planet would no longer be ours. It would belong to the dinosaurs again. But here's the twist. Not every ending has to be doom. Humans might also adapt alongside dinosaurs. Think about it. Dinosaurs didn't vanish completely. Birds are living proof of their survival. If giant dinosaurs returned, we might learn to share the Earth in strange new ways. Some species would be dangerous, sure. Others might settle into the ecosystem without wrecking it. Maybe our grandchildren would grow up in a world where pterosaurs perched on skyscrapers like giant pigeons, or where schools taught kids how to tell the difference between a safe dinosaur and one you absolutely run from. And perhaps the most shocking takeaway, we'd realize just how fragile our place on this planet really is. For millions of years, dinosaurs were the kings of Earth. Humans have only ruled for a blink of an eye by comparison. If they came back, they'd remind us of a brutal truth. The world doesn't belong to us. We're just renting space. So, what if dinosaurs returned and roamed our streets today? At first, total chaos. Maybe later, uneasy coexistence. But either way, life would never go back to normal. And now, I'll turn it over to you. Would humans ever truly learn to share the planet with creatures this powerful? Or would we end up back in the shadows, praying we don't end up on the menu? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your survival strategies. And if you enjoyed this trip into prehistoric madness, hit that like button, subscribe for more wild what if adventures, and ring the bell so you never miss the next one. Because next time we might ask, what if the moon suddenly disappeared?